Welcome to NASPA Tonight.
This is all of your Scrabble news in 25 minutes or less.
I'm Josh Greenway.
I am Jackson Smylie.
Let's talk about Scrabble.
The time starts right now. Oh, I think the battery, okay. Battery turned off. Time is starting now. We have a pretty packed show today.
We do.
Because we have some pretty big tournaments happening this weekend.
That's right.
Not just Calgary. Calgary's pretty big, but we have something even bigger. That's true.
And it's our 8th controversial topic episode. This is a controversial topic big finale.
Oh, it's the finale. It's what we've all been waiting for, the classic debate, it's as old as time, I think.
I think so.
It was around before dictionaries were around. But we have a special guest to commemorate this final episode of Controversial Topics of the Weeks. We are going to bring on the lovely Joshua Sokol. Welcome, Josh. How are you doing?
I don't know. Can you hear me? Is that
we can hear you. Oh, yeah.
Then I'm great.
Can people in the chat hear Josh? Maybe give us a thumbs up in the comments. If you're watching, we appreciate any likes or shares. We're getting some more people on. We're on at a special time tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first Friday episode. Thank you all for taking some time out of your Fridays, as we and Josh have done. So, Josh, how's your Friday going? I see you have beer in hand, just like many others, many other Fridays.
Just a relaxed little day here. I am very surprised to be on this show. I just appeared in front of my computer just like this. I woke up like this, and here I am on NASPA Tonight.
Well, we thought this would be a nice little reunion. All three of us were in Lake George last weekend. We were almost all of us were playing Scrabble. We were all involved in Scrabble in one way or another. So that was kind of fun.
It was great. Josh, how was your Lake George experience?
It's always a great time, but I never do well, so I'll leave it at that.
That's fair. So our big headline of the week is the World Scrabble Championship. It's starting on Tuesday, I think, but a lot of players you can see are already flying out to Torquay in England.
Isn't it in Ireland?
No, it's in England.
Oh, it's in England. Okay.
But a player from Montreal thought we were talking about Turkey. And he was like, Istanbul. Yeah, I like that place. This is Torquay. Have you ever seen Faulty Towers? It's like my favorite show ever. It's set in Torquay. It's like this weird seaside town that I didn't think anyone would ever go to. But the World Championships are there. They're starting soon.
Do we know how many North Americans are going over there for the Worlds, like approximately?
I counted about maybe 15 or so.
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
Okay, let's get into the Worlds. And one thing that we wanted to cover off the top here. Actually, what do we want to do with the Worlds?
We want to talk about the main 3 contenders right now.
Yes.
There's quite a few good people going. I mean, it's the World Championships. There's a lot of good people going, but there's 3 that stand out as some of the highest rated people going in and with some of the best resumes going in. So our first main contender of Worlds is...
I'm interested to get Josh Sokol's take on these guys and what his feeling is going to be. So our number 1 contender is Brett Smitherman.
Or Smithers.
Smithers.
Yeah, his name is Smithers. So he's what? He's rated 2155. He's ranked 5th in all of WESPA, and he won Worlds in 2016. So he will definitely let you know of all of those facts, I can guarantee. But he's definitely a favorite going in. He's been talking about winning this for like the last 5 years or so. So I think his chances are pretty good. Josh, what do you think of Brett Smitherman? What do you think his chances are?
I mean, you can't do this, but there was a common thread on one of his posts about him. Like he's really like building himself up, like pumping his chest, like I'm going to win again. I'm going to defend. And I commented something along the lines of like, I don't think anyone thinks you're going to win, but that's very harsh. Maybe he will. I don't really know his game that well. I've never met him, and I don't know. It could be. He might win again, but it's lightning doesn't usually strike twice.
So would you consider that classic troll behavior? I mean, there are a lot of people who have referred to you as a quite talented internet troll. Do you have any comments about that?
He's more transparent than I am, that's for sure, as an internet troll. But I think he does actually believe in himself. That's what you're trying to get to. He does believe in himself. On the contrary, I do not believe in myself. So
I meant more your comments to him that nobody thinks that you're gonna win.
Okay. You're asking if I was trolling.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
you wouldn't say that to Nigel,
though. I believe he would win. I mean,
so it's the same thing as him. It's like
killing
it's trolling, but true.
With one Facebook comment.
Will Anderson, meanwhile, says Brett won Worlds before. Didn't know.
I'm surprised.
That's a troll job. Right?
Oh yeah, very good. I thought he was making some weird joke about it not technically being Worlds because it may have been one of those like WESPA championships. So our next contender. So if Brett Smitherman is Smithers, this has got to be Mr. Burns.
All right, here we go. David Eldar. What do we think? David Eldar, what are Eldar's biggest accomplishments, right? He won.
Oh my God, I just realized that I did excellent, but that's Mr. Burns' I'm embarrassed. I was like, wait, Smithers, who's Mr. Burns? Oh no.
So, David Eldar, I think he's the current world champion. He doesn't talk about it quite as much as Brett, so some of you might not know this. But here he is. He was on a ski lift at this time. So he leads a very well-rounded life. He skis in the summer. He plays Scrabble in the winter.
Look at those beautiful ski trails. Bro.
Exactly. Eldar knows how to live right now.
And he's a poker player.
He's a poker player, yeah.
Right.
Very successful poker player. Slightly less successful Scrabble player, but only by money. But he's definitely a big contender. I think he's a pretty solid favorite to come second in this tournament.
Yeah, I think he's a solid favorite to win or come in the top three. Definitely, he's just a phenomenal player. So yeah, let's see what happens. But I have a lot of respect for his game. Okay,
let's move on to our contender number 3.
Yes.
Our viewers might be familiar with this gentleman. We have the one, the only Nigel Richards.
The GOAT.
How many times has he won Worlds?
It says right on the screen, actually. He has won the Worlds 3 times. He's won the U.S. Nationals 5 times. He's won many, many, many other tournaments. Too many to count. I thought about going into WESPA and looking at that, but it's like, no, he's just won too many things. His resume is off the charts. He still has it. Some people doubt Nigel, but I doubt those people who doubt Nigel.
Right. So is Nigel the favorite?
He's the favorite,
Josh?
yeah.
Here's what's going to happen, and it's going to be either the same thing that happened in his last 2 big tournaments, Niagara Falls and Nationals, where he was meant to win, and then he just lost his last 3 or 4 or 3 out of 4 games and just barely lost. So I think what's going to happen is he's going to take an early, like, ridiculous lead over the field, and then somebody's going to come barking up his tree. And at some point, we'll see if he wins those games, those important final games. Then we can crown him again. But at this point, he's a choke artist in my book. So.
Boy,
that's actually pretty true because, like, as dominating as Nigel is, like the last time he won Worlds was in 2013. He hasn't won a Worlds or a National since then. So it's kind of weird. It's like, yeah, like he is his GOAT, but he's also I think that's why some people say he's past his prime. But on the contrary, in that span of like 5 or 6 years when he won all these Worlds and all these Nationals, it was also like, just as you said, Josh, like he was winning these crucial games exactly when he needed to. And there's like a certain amount of luck there or a certain amount of like irreproducibility or something. Like
it's totally psychological, and it's really up to him to have his head in the game or not. And I mean, I don't know what's going on in his life, but he's gotta just throw it all away and just focus on his game, you know.
Well, isn't the point that nobody knows what's going on with his life?
That's your point, Josh. If you want to delve deeper into that, that's you can go right ahead. But that's you're putting words in my mouth there. We're not going to start. We don't have time for this, Josh. We're not going to start talking about Nigel's personal life.
Okay. Well, my point is we couldn't even because he's so reclusive.
I think you should talk to him more. Just go visit him.
Yeah.
You'll get to know him.
Okay, so those are the contenders that we wanted to talk about, which is now going to lead us into our conversation about
tournament talk.
No, TWL versus
Collins.
Yeah, we're doing tournament
contenders. I don't understand. There's
so who else would you add? Who else would you add? That's my question.
A bunch of people are like can win. Like, I'm not entirely sure everyone who's going, but there's lots of people that are like 200 rated, 2,000 rated.
So the real reason
in Great Britain, they have a different rating system. Yeah, I think. I mean, a lot of people could win. I think it's up in the air.
Who do you think is most likely to win aside from those 3 contenders that we listed?
You're putting me on the spot. I have to go look at who's playing.
Well, we've got a list that'll come up. Yeah. You want to do tournament talk right now?
Okay. So this is where we predict the results of tournaments. We're going to predict the Calgary tournament, but Calgary started today in the morning already. It seems kind of silly to predict it when we're already 7 games in.
Not allowed to do that.
Right. It's not allowed on NASPA Tonight. We have a strict policy about predicting after tournaments have started. And this week, we're just going to predict Worlds. So we're going to give the first pick to our guest of honor, Josh Sokol. And you get to predict exactly who you want to win. And I want you to tell us who you think is most likely to win out of the people who are not the contenders we listed.
Now, I think what we should do is let's pull up the contenders on the full screen here.
Yes.
The viewers will still be able to hear us through this, but this is going to be the top 12, top 11.
Yeah, top 11.
Nice work. Okay, top 11 players for Worlds. Here we go. And we're going to have Josh Jr. here make the first pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Evan had won the last year's championship, we would be asking ourselves, who's going to top 11? Dudum. Sorry, that was really bad. All right. So, yeah, Austin and Harshan, they're both very strong players. I don't think and Harshan is even bigger choke artist than Nigel, though, so I don't think he's going to win. Austin could definitely win. That would be quite amazing. Nyman, Smitherham, Etta, Craig, Gallen, Koenig. Okay, we'll stop there. I think the next likeliest candidate is Austin Shin. I believe in the scoring prowess of this man.
Austin. Scoring never stops when you're named Austin Shin.
Here's the deal on this. You and I, we figure we're about tied in tournament talk, and we're only predicting one.
It's crazy.
That's right. So we couldn't decide who got to pick first. So what's the way we decide in Scrabble, Josh, who goes first?
Let's answer a couple questions first. I see Christina Lemoyne asked 2 questions. Where does Nigel live? He lives in Malaysia. He must be very private. Didn't you do a bike trip with him? Yes. We absolutely did.
Oh, so you guys
learned all
kinds of secrets.
We know everything there is to know.
What was the question, Josh?
We're drawing tiles.
We're drawing tiles. I'm going to go
above your eye line, please.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
This is to decide who's going to.
Well, I can see inside the bag. I can see inside the bag.
I think I'm not winning this one.
All right, what do you got?
I got a Y.
Oh wait! What about me?
That's not fair.
You already got the first pick.
Not even fair.
Well, what did you get, Josh? Sorry.
A.
You got an A? Okay, I got to draw a blank here. Never mind. Okay, whatever. Yeah, let's just.
All right. I'm going to take Nigel.
You're going to take Nigel. Wow. Yeah. Well, I have to believe in Mr. Burns because he will just scorch the competition.
Okay.
I'm going to go with David Eldar.
Okay. All right. There we go. So that is tournament talk for the week.
So we have our controversy of the week, which is
that's right.
TWL or Collins. More specifically, if NASPA decided to hold a referendum for switching over the entire organization to Collins or keeping it as it is where we offer both, what would you vote? And I think the biggest controversy of the week was actually about the poll itself.
That's the biggest controversy of every week.
Everyone, they don't care about the poll. They just care about like actually just hating on the poll. So the biggest opinion this week about this issue was, why doesn't the poll have the option for just offering Collins? And the reason for that was fairly straightforward. And it's that
Jackson, you're gonna have to rectify what you just said. Why doesn't the poll have the option to just offer TWL?
TWL. Sorry, what did I say? Collins?
Mm-hmm.
Oops, my bad. I meant to just TWL. And the reason is pretty simple. I don't think NASPA is ever going to move over just to TWL. So it seems like a pretty irrelevant option.
Well,
as much
also,
as people support it.
Also, when we craft these polls, we try to find a way to get some evenness, right? Because otherwise you just have people voting for their own self-interest, their own lexicon, whatever. And we thought it would be interesting to see how many people would go away from play whatever you want, TWL or Collins, to go for a unified dictionary.
Yeah.
Because I know TWL players who are like, what? Let's just switch to Collins, and then we're all playing the same thing.
Yeah,
I've got to learn some words, but I'm willing to do that.
Yeah,
and I think some of those were captured in the poll. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the results. We had about 163 people vote in this poll, and I think what was the comment count? I mean, anyway,
comment count was about 150 to 200 comments. Lots of comments. But as you can see, the majority of people wanted to offer TWL and Collins, but just keeping things as they are.
Guys, we can only see the bottom, the second option there, I think.
That might be your screen. It should be on the screen for everybody. It shows about 60%.
Oh, I see. You're right.
Yeah, about 60% think continue in North America to play whatever you want, TWL or Collins, and about 40%, including you, saying let's just switch over to Collins to unify the world Scrabble community.
And there were a lot of people who voted to move over to Collins that are currently TWL players. I think the majority of people who voted to switch over to Collins were actually TWL players right now. So yeah, this poll is very much about how you want to see the future of Scrabble. And Josh, I want you to tell us a bit about the point of view that Kenji and some other, and quite a few other people nowadays are adopting, that where people think that we should stick with TWL because of the nature of the dictionary itself and why it is good to get more players by having a smaller dictionary like TWL.
Right. All right. So in my history of being a kitchen table player and then just running the tables on the kitchen table and just beating up on all my family friends, every single person, with a few exceptions, were just like, what are those words? That's ridiculous. I don't want to play with you. You're using these ridiculous words. And I didn't even know that many words at the time. I was just using some obscure 2-letter words that most people don't really speak about in their daily speaking. So, I mean, it's just, most people just like appreciate using words that they're familiar with. And the point of view that's being proposed here is basically saying the more words that they're going to be unfamiliar with, the less likely they're going to want to play the game, because it's less of a word game and more of a word knowledge game where you just know the words, you don't know what they mean, you don't see any use to them in your everyday life.
And less of a conversion from playing at home with a book that's available in stores to when they get the tournament scene.
Because we see all the time people coming into clubs and like, oh, like, I don't know this word, this is not a word, and then they're gone.
Right.
So yeah, it's
but I mean, at a basic level, when people are playing like in their dining rooms, family game night, whatever, they're looking up words, but they're not learning like really new words. They're just looking up words that are played, and because of that, they have such a small exposure to what's actually there, what's actually even in the official Scrabble Players Dictionary. They don't even know like even a very small amount of those words like they're familiar with. So I really don't see that point of view making a lot of sense, because when people that are using the OSPD are exposed to a more enlarged word list with all the bad words, whatever, I mean, sure, they're going to be familiar with XI and XU maybe if they're playing a lot, if they're playing online on the Scrabble app, but usually they're just going to be like totally culture shocked by these words. So
well, we have some We have some action in the chat. Shout out to Julia Bogle, who says, let's switch the dictionary to the actual dictionary without the extras and expand the tournament population.
I mean, the big question is, what is the actual dictionary?
That is a good point.
Julia, you should give us some advice on which actual dictionary to use.
I think what she means is the USPD, which doesn't have bad words, which doesn't have trademarks.
Right.
Which is the one that Hasbro is selling to families. And families are the ones that mothers are the ones that in the past have said, oh, I don't want these bad words being like given to my child in this dictionary. They were playing Scrabble. It should be a family game. So they took out all those words. That's basically, long story short, what happened. And so, yeah, the USPD is just missing all the 9-letter words and up and all the bad words and all the trademarked words that are in the TWL dictionary.
So I remember reading, like, when I came on very early to Scrabble before NASPA Tonight, before all this kind of stuff. It was a while ago. And I remember Kenji, reading some stuff by Kenji, and he talked about how we need an entirely new dictionary, neither TWL or Collins, a more reduced dictionary. And I find that a very compelling argument, but obviously very hard to implement and getting harder by the day. And then counterbalance that with the fact that language evolves and we create new words as like a species all the time, and they should be represented. So it's a tricky problem, to be sure.
And like, nobody wants to forget words. I mean, that's just
exactly.
Like, people that have been exposed to the CSW dictionary, they're not going to want to go backwards and forget all those words. I mean, there's only one. Like, you can only go forwards from here. You can't, like, nobody's gonna like play with the reduced dictionary. I think the current people that are playing the game, but maybe Kenji wants a complete overhaul. Maybe he wants like a revolution of the proletariat. But I mean, anyways, that's another debate.
Yeah. So I think the poll that we did was very future looking, right? It was talking about the possibility of a referendum. And I think it's instructive to take a look at the past. I don't think a lot of people know that there was a referendum in the past. And that happened somewhere around the year 2000. And this is when I guess the UK went from the official word list to Sowpods.
The UK had a referendum and they voted to adopt Sowpods.
Right. Yeah. And so North America then had a referendum, and it certainly came out in OWL or TWL's favor by about 2-1. So about 67%. But it was also a very low turnout over the course of that. And ultimately what happened, it makes me think of when we got the word geocache, right? Because, and I don't want to go into that, but basically having a really motivated base and a low voting population, that can really affect like a referendum like this. So that's what happened back then. I think there have probably been arguments made that because turnout was so low before and the margin was like 2-1, I don't think NASPA is going to be taking a look at a referendum anytime soon. The other thing that is part of this issue is because in North America, under NASPA, we rate both TWL and Collins. And not everybody knows where that story comes from. A lot of that comes down to that period between like 2000 and 2009, the formation of NASPA, when there were world championships going on in Sowpods, but top North American players couldn't get the kind of experience here in North America because Collins wasn't being rated. And ultimately, those concerns were answered by John Chu, one of NASPA's co-presidents, basically putting in the facility to rate Collins. And there are a lot of people who might look at that particular decision, who are North American centric, let's say, and say, "Oh, this is a pretty key moment where John is providing a technical solution where, okay, now we can rate these." And there was an understanding made between both Chris and John, the two co-presidents, that we're going to offer these two lexicons as long as there's interest in people playing. And that is where what some people would describe as a fractured population in North America, that's where it grew. And it grew to the point where now something like 22, 23% of actual games being played are being played in CSW in North America. So that's the history lesson. Yeah. Thanks for indulging me there, guys, but that's the history.
And this shows that, like, this is a very political issue right now because not just the co-presidents, but like everyone in charge at NASPA has a lot of the power over what to do with the organization and thus like what to do with all the players. So their decision at the beginning just to offer Collins was very political because it ends up having these ramifications of where we are now, of having this strong Collins movement. Even though it may not be the majority, it's still a very strong movement you can feel. And
growing.
Yeah, and if they were to have another referendum like this, that would also be very political because even just the very fact of having a referendum like this would show that there's a certain amount of forward momentum that could change the nature of NASPA.
Now, I'm curious, with you two guys both having cashed in the last TWL Nationals, any plans to switch over anytime soon? Or are you waiting until you win a NASC, cash that big check, and then move on over?
You want to go ahead, Jackson?
Sure. I mean, so I did switch a while ago. I switched from about end of 2014 to end of 2015. And so I played Collins for a year, studied a bunch of it, and then I switched back.
Yeah, why did you do that?
I switched back so I could play, because I wanted to play in Division 2 at Nationals. Because I wanted to win some moolah. And
a controversial decision.
That very controversial decision.
That backfired.
Backfired totally. It was terrible. But I studied a lot of TWL for that, and I kind of fell back in love with TWL, and I got...
So romantic.
I know. I have a very, very good relationship with TWL right now. And I really enjoyed it, and I felt like my game was really strong, and I haven't really looked back since. I feel very happy with this. But that being said... A couple weeks ago, I sent out an email to a few people asking some advice on whether to switch to Collins because there's a lot of good things happening in Collins, and I'm thinking about going to Asia and stuff next year, and they have a lot of Collins there. So it's becoming a pretty difficult decision. And that being said, Nationals is a very big part of this decision because Nationals looks like it's still TWL as far as we can see.
And you were talking about how these decisions came down to NASPA leadership.
They do.
And I think that back at the time where this decision was made, they didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Whereas now we may have more of a sense, who the hell knows. But now you're part of that leadership. You were on NASPA's advisory board. So it's going to be interesting to see what positions you take. I want to hear from Josh Jr. here what his lexicon plans are for the future.
I mean, so just to make it brief, I'll switch when it seems like majority is, or the best players are playing in CSW, and the majority of the tournaments that are around me are going to be stronger in that field, in the CSW field. But really, what's important to me is not looking at, there's me and Jackson top players, what do we think? Or what does NASPA leadership think? Or what do these people that have like voices think? What concerns me is that we're not listening to people, the everyday Scrabble player, or just people that just want to enjoy the game, go to tournaments, that aren't like trying to be the best, and what's going to affect their participation and what's going to increase participation of other people that might want to join the community. And honestly, I have no idea what the answer is at this point, but I don't think that we should be focused on what the elite want, basically. I think we should be just asking other people, and we shouldn't be limiting ourselves to these polls with only two binary options. It's unbelievable. I just can't fathom anything like this ever happening. So yeah, that's my position.
Well, I always appreciate Josh Jr.'s kind of position here and the way he thinks about the elite and I guess the non-elite. I tend to be a big tent guy. I just want to see more people playing Scrabble, and obviously nobody cares what lexicon I play. So I think that's not a terrible place to leave this topic. Anybody final thoughts? Okay.
Switch to whatever dictionary you want to play.
Let's all go to words with
universal
friends.
Basic income so people can travel the world and play CSW.
Yes. I think,
All right, we'll leave UBI for another show. So here's what I would like to wrap up with, unless I'm missing anything. Let's do some Scrabble birthdays.
Scrabble birthdays.
Now, we were on a special time, so we've had like a week and a half of birthdays.
Lots of birthdays, guys.
We appreciate everybody who's watching, but we especially appreciate our birthday babies. Let me go through a quick list. Aaron Lay, Queen Street, Anna Moransky, Roger Coleman, Cecilia Huber, Julie Tremblay, Edwin Roth, Marlene Boyda, Emily James, Hubert Wee, David Plianowski, and today, Diana Bowen and Hannah Rosier.
Oh, they have the same birthday?
That's birthday.
So funny. They're good friends as well.
Yeah, happy birthday
to all of you.
Is Queen Street Chris Street?
I don't know.
I was wondering about that. I'm gonna have to investigate.
I go by Facebook names. Names. There wasn't time for an investigation. All right.
Okay.
Well, as always.
Not as always.
Overtime, as usually, we are overtime.
Yeah, we had to combine World's preview.
Yeah, World's pretty big.
Yeah, exactly. With our controversial episode.
Chris Street.
Queen Street is
not. Sorry, Queen.
They're named Queen.
The Queen.
So, all right. I want to thank our very special guest.
Thank you very much.
Josh Jr. Great job all the time. Helped us out at the last minute with our World's preview coverage. And hopefully we get to see you soon. And feel free to continue to comment, but we're going to cover you up with this cat. And Jackson, Jackson, it's been another week of NASPA Tonight.
Oh, no, not Kitty.
And this is the best cat. This is the nameless cat.
Oh my god! I gotta go visit that cat soon now.
Absolutely best cat in the world. And this has been a very fun 8-week series of controversy.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody for tuning into all these episodes and for commenting and voting. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And
so
check out YouTube. All the back episodes go out on YouTube night of the show. So if you want to share this with somebody who hasn't seen it, that's where you can do it.
We might be taking NASPA Tonight in a few different directions. So if you have any specific ideas, things you want us to cover, or if you want to be on the show, just shoot us a message because we have a lot of ideas that we want to implement.
That's right. And if we run out of ideas, we might go back to controversy.
There's no shortage. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week at the regular time, right?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the regular time?
9 p.m. on Tuesday.
All right. Goodbye.